Happy Groovy Tuesday. Hopefully we've got some people in the room. We're trying out a new bit of software today. So fingers crossed everything comes across okay. Hopefully I'm just waiting for Jilly to say that you can hear me nice and clearly. So I reckon, yeah. So Jilly says the sound is good. So far, touch wood, fingers crossed, new technology. So yes. Do we have anybody in the room? Let's have a look. Yes, good morning, everybody. Good morning, Nancy. Yay, there comes everybody. Happy Groovy Tuesday, everybody. Oh dear. Being a guinea pig with this new piece of software is a bit, because it's all different. So, but I can still see names of people popping up. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Groovy Tuesday, episode 13. So maybe that wasn't a good number to try out this new piece of software, but Jim knows what he's doing. He's in the building as well. So any little glitches, he'll be on hand to help us out, no doubt. So how are we all doing today? What's the weather like where you are? It's nice and sunny down here, but really cold. It was 0 degrees this morning, a bit of frost on the car. But it soon disappears. The sun's nice. It's nice and bright. And I think the sun sort of makes you feel good, doesn't it? So if it's nice and bright and not too grey out there. So, I'm looking forward to today. We're going to finish off our beautiful Picot cut butterfly. And I'm going to give you a few little options on what we can do to complete our piece of work. And then I've got a brand new plate to showcase for you, illustrated by the lovely Barbara. She gave you a sneak peek on her blog a couple of weeks back. And I thought, I didn't realize at the time, I put this shirt on and the shirt sort of gives the clue away a bit. It's sort of paisley. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to sharing that with you today, because I think what we'll do over the next couple of weeks, then what we'll do, we'll concentrate on that, because with a sampler plate, there's so much. I'm teasing you, aren't I? I am. I'm terrible. Shall I show you what it looks like? I don't think I can wait till later in the hour, because it's absolutely gorgeous. Okay, I'll give you a sneaky peek. All right, I'm going to lay it out here. So you can't see it yet, can you? But you're going to want it. And it's when you break it down, I've spent this morning breaking it down into the different sections, and it's just absolutely, when you look at it, you know, when we say when you get a brand new plate, you should always trace it out, because that's when you find things. Well, I sure found some things on this. I'm going to share it with you. And what I'll do is, I think I'm going to, I'm so excited. I really can't wait, because it's, yeah. Jilly will give you the link to the product. Here we go. Look at this. It's an A4 square Groovi plate, and it's a sampler illustrated by Barbara. And Lucy worked her magic and then turned it into a Groovi plate. So you can see you've got the 9 different sections, and it's absolutely crazy. There was a few that was my favorites. That was my favorite. This one here, that beautiful leafy element to it. So this is called Barbara's Paisley and Leaves sampler plate, and we're going to be working on this over the next couple of weeks, and it's absolutely, yeah, it's mad. So this is the plate. Okay, so it doesn't matter whether you've got the large starter kit or the smaller starter kit. We're going to work with it just exactly as it comes. Okay, and it is, yeah. Right. Okay. I was so excited to share this with you. I feel really honoured to be able to do this. So what I've done, let's have a look. If I turn the plate over so we can look at it from the front, and we'll go this way so you can see. So this is what they're going to look like. And what I've done is, let me get this in the right direction. I've traced it out onto an A4 piece of parchment. Okay. Look at that. I mean, the detail, it's crazy how much so fine detailed you can get into this. It really is. Okay, now what I did, because I thought, okay, we look at this and you think, okay, well, where do you start? So what I've done for each of the 9 sections, I've broken it down. When I say broken it down, what I mean is I'm going to show you how you can take elements from it. Because you know, with the Groovi system that let me come in a little bit closer. See that you could, so I can imagine people on their phones really sort of squinting. So let me see, I want to come in, so I need to go this way. So there we go. I reckon about there. Look at that in its full glory. Absolutely madness. Okay, so let's break them down one square at a time, just to show some of the things that, I mean, I've only just touched the surface of it. So we'll have a look at this one here. And what I've done, I've broken it down so you can see, look, that's it traced out as it is. And then you can take the outside elements and break it down. You can miss bits out to get different look. I mean, look at this. This is like a funky little plant. But again, they're all separate as well. Absolutely mad. So that's just one of the designs. And that's only one thing that I've come up with so far, just splitting it out. So then we move on to the next one. I love this one. I love this little sort of, it's like a little flower in the bottom. So again, just by removing elements, look, you've got beautiful, perfect for your Picot cutting, creating apertures. And again, splitting it all out. I mean, look at that. Let me bring this little flower in. I love this little flower. Look at that. Isn't that gorgeous for just little decorative elements? It's just so, so exciting. So that's number 2. Then this one, can you see what I see on this one? What does it, to me, it reminds me of a strawberry. Absolutely delightful. And again, breaking it down, taking the elements out. I mean, look at that. I mean, you could put anything in there. If you've got any of Josie's sampler plates in there, or imagine just, you know how we've been doing the butterfly grids and popping that in there as well. It gives you that open space to be able to recreate that. So then we'll have a look at the next one. This was one of my favorite ones. I love this leafy flourish. And again, just how you can sort of break it all down. Really, really nice. And it's funny, I'm reading some of the comments, what different things that people can see. Someone saw a guitar, someone saw an avocado. Crazy. And it really is. And it's only by breaking it down into this that you realize how much is on each of the individual designs. And you're going to get 9 on there. And then we come into the next one. Look at that. I love these little flowers. It's just, it's crazy, isn't it? When you think that how you can break it down, you can take a complete design and dissect it if you want to get more out of it. See, I love this one with the little scallops around the edge and these beautiful little flowers. And then you've got the heart danglers as well. Absolutely delightful. And then this one's really, I thought this was quite funky and really sort of retro with the designs. And again, look, you've got this element here that you can create a border as well. So again, if I turn it that way, it looks like a little row of beach huts. Really, really nice. So we've got that one, and I think we're almost at the end. I think this, I love this one. Look at this. The interlinking and the different elements. Look, just by removing the pointy bits on the outside can give it a different look. It looks a bit like a bird. Just needs a little beak on it, I think. Can you all see a bird on that one? Oh dear. Okay, and the next one. I love this one as well. The beautiful leaves, look. And it is, you just break it down and you see so many different things. So let's say, if you decide to go along with this, then when you get it home, maybe have a go at doing something like this. You may find bits that I missed out on my first time round, but it really is a sort of a nice way of getting to know your plates. And you could keep this in a folder if you do exactly what I've done, just to look at the different elements. And then the final one, I don't know, decisions. See, I love this little cross hatch that you could continue, but just the shape on its own as well. Perfect for your Picot cutting that we've been looking at over the last few weeks. Isn't that gorgeous? I love it. Absolutely. I can't wait to come up with a project to see what we can sort of work on over the next couple of weeks. So as I say, Julia will give you the link if you're interested in that. But say we're going to be looking at it over the next few weeks. Let me just leave you with that while I just tidy that up. Look at that. Super duper. And they look different depending on how you turn them, on how you position them. See that one now, that to me looks like a goldfish with its little fins, and now this one looks like a little face. Oh dear, it really is. It's crazy what the eye does. It really is. And then we'll just turn it back to the top again. So there you have it. I thought it would be a bit mean to make you wait right to the end, because I was just so excited having a play with it this morning. It's literally hot off the press. We approved it yesterday. Brother Steve's been making them and they're good to go. Okay, so all that excitement, I need a drop of coffee. Right, so where are we heading today? So let me bring in my lovely little butterflies we've been working on. Let's bring these in on the overhead so we can see those. Over the past few weeks, we've been experimenting with the butterfly that a lot of you have purchased recently. Okay, and it comes with the starter kit. We've still got that on special offer on both the large size and the small size. And what we've done is we've just taken the outline to create the shape of our butterflies, and then we've infilled it with our basic grid, and we've created these patterns. So let me come in over on this one, and we've created these patterns, and I gave you options to show that even if you're not into your Picot cutting, you can get a really nice look to your piece. Okay, so if you think, I really can't get the hang of this Picot cutting, then you don't have to, because just by perforating and embossing, you still get a beautiful effect. And I've just used normal scissors to cut this one out. But the one we were working on towards last week was this one here. I'm put my finger over that little glitch. But you know what? Mistakes happen. So let's put it there in all its glory. And we've sort of had a look at doing Picot cutting to give us a warm up. And doing those little crosses, it's just great, because for me, when I was learning, to perfect a little cross like that really gave me the confidence. And so because I got confident in doing the crosses, I then wanted to have a go at doing the freestyle Picot cutting, which we covered last week. So if you want to know how we Picot cut around the outside of this butterfly and you missed out, then you can go back on our YouTube channel, and it was episode 12 where we covered that. Okay, so we've got, hopefully everyone's got a butterfly in some form, whether you've used scissors, whether you've used the Picot cutting. Okay, so that's what we want to go towards. And then what I thought we'd do, we'd create a little panel for it to sit on. So if you've got the large starter kit, we're going to go with the 4th and the 5th squares from the nested squares. Okay, so this is from the A5 square one. We're going to do the 4th and the 5th, and if you've got the mini starter kit, then it's the 2nd and the 3rd. So what we're going to need a piece of parchment, we're going to need our plate mate, our nested squares, let's got all our bits together, our plate mate, our nested squares, our butterfly plate, and also our straight basic grid. Again, in the large or the small, depending on whatever size kit you have. To start off with, we're going to position our nested squares like we always do in our platemate. And I'm going to take a piece of A5 parchment, and as usual, I'm going to line it up either side and attach it with my Groovi tabs. So I'm lining up to the top of the plate and the bottom and the width as well. And we've been doing this over the past few weeks because it's, for me, it's like good practice, because it means that if I need to go back in, then I know where I've started off, if that makes sense. So if I'm always lining it up in the same place when we start out, then I know if I've missed a bit. Like this morning, I was prepping what we're going to do here, and I put it to one side and realized I'd missed something. But it was easy for me to realign it because I've always used that same starting point. I'm going to take my tumble dry sheet. It seems to have glitter on it. Oh well, doesn't affect your parchment. And as I said, if we're going with the large one, we're going to trace out the 4th and the 5th, or if you're going with the mini starter kit, the 2nd and the 3rd from the outside to edge. So I'm going to grab my Groovi guard. Where did I put my Groovi guard? It was here earlier. It's hiding on me. Oh well, it'll appear in a minute. You watch. When I'm not looking for it, I reckon I've popped it over here. So if I leave those there, just while I go on my hunt, so that you know. So you can go ahead and trace out your squares, because it is hiding on me. I know it is. I've put it somewhere safe. He says, ruffling through. It is really hiding. I think the little Groovi gremlins have been in my studio. Or was that Mr. Jim hiding things on me? Right, okay. Go with the flow, Paul. Go with the flow. It will appear when you're not looking for it. Okay, now jangled up on wires. Oh dear. Right, I bet you've traced out your squares by now, haven't you? Okay, so let me get my number 1 tool. So we're going to go the 4th and the 5th. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's the 5th and the 4th. And then we're just going to go along and trace out. Nice and easy. Okay. I bet you've all done yours by now, haven't you? So we've now got our frame to which we're going to contain our work within. Then I'm going to lift up, remove my nested square. I'm keeping my parchment attached to my platemate. And I'm going to take our lovely butterfly wreath, and I'm going to pop that in there. So I've got the word Groovi at the top, and I'm going to position that exactly where it is. Okay, I'm not going to move the parchment around. And all I want to do now is trace out the circle that goes around the butterfly. And we're just going to trace out the outline. Remember how we did when we did it to put the pattern in? Okay, so nice and easy. And this time we're going to include the little antennae or antennae, or the little bits that stick out the top of the butterfly's head. Okay. And then we're just going to put the wing in there. So we've got our 2 wings. So nice and easy, nice and slowly. And what this is going to do, this is going to give us our undercoat, so to speak. And go nice and slow around, come in to join up the wing in the middle, and go around the outside. And then, there we go. Thank you, Jilly. Jilly's found my Groovi guard for me. Thank you. Right, okie dokie. So now we can lift off And this is what we should have. Okay, and it doesn't matter whether we do it in the large or in the small. So I'll just give you a minute just to catch up with a sip of coffee. Oh dear. How are you getting on? Do you find Groovi calms you down as well? I know I was really excited at the beginning because of that beautiful plate. And then it's sort of like real hyper, and now I'm nice and calm. But I know when you look at that plate, and we will have another look, time permitting, towards the end of the hour, for anyone that sort of tuned in late, how there's so much to it. There really is. And I can't wait to really start playing and come up with a project for us all to get going next week. And what we're going to do is we're going to incorporate some white work, some colouring, some perforating, some embossing. We're going to combine it all together to create a beautiful piece of artwork. And with the paisley, with the beautiful designs in there, they're going to cover men, women, boys, girls, you name it. We're going to find something. Because for me, what I find is not only is it such a generic design that's gorgeous, but it's the colour can define whether we give it to a man or to a woman. So it's crazy how you can do it. And it's the same with the backing papers behind, how that can really change the look, which we saw earlier on during the Groovi Tuesdays, when we just kept it really nice and simple and did that beautiful butterfly wreath. So here we go again. What we're going to do now, let me show you what we're going to do, because I've done it already, just so you think, oh, I can't do that. You can. You really can. If you can do that butterfly, then this next bit you can do easy peasy. We are going to create a border within that frame we've created so that it ties in with our lovely butterfly. Okay. So this one here, where's my Picot cut one? I've done my little crosses. So you can see now how it starts to come together and it really ties in. So if you've done your Picot cutting with your little crosses, then in your butterfly, then we can do it in the frame. If you've gone with just the embossed and the perforating, just like that one there, we can do that within the frame as well. Okay. So where do we get started? So again, really nice and easy. We're going to bring in our basic bold straight grid. I'm going to put my little butterflies so I don't keep catching them. I'm going to pop that in there. So I'm going to keep it nice and easy. Groovi at the top as usual. Into my plate mate. Groovi tab just to hold it in place. Now we're going to do the embossing part for it. Remember I said when we're doing creating any pattern, it's always a good idea to do the embossing part first, because if you emboss in the wrong place and you know you're going to perforate, you can perforate the wrong embossed dot. So I'm going to line this up, and I'm going to come in on this camera here just so I can get my head in over the top. Now, if you have the light panel can really make a difference when doing this. Now I'm just going to get this lined up, and then I'm going to zoom in really closely so you can see where I've positioned it, because it's just a little, it's not off center, but it's just getting it so that it looks equal. And I reckon it's just about there. So I'm going to hold that down, and then what I'm going to do, I'm going to zoom in on the overhead, because we now have the technology. So to zoom in, I need to come this way. I'll do it slowly so it doesn't go out of focus. Okay. So when you have a look, hopefully you can see that. Maybe I need to come in a little bit closer, because once we get the top element lined up, I'm going to bring that down so we can see. Hopefully it won't go out of focus. So the way in which I've lined it up is I've gone just above with that straight line, the row of dots. And then what that's giving me, it's giving me 1, 2, and then the third one is it's half hidden on that line. And then when we come around the side, it's the same. Okay, hopefully you can see that. I don't know if I come in any closer, it may just go out of focus slightly. Let me just see how close I can come in. There we go. Hopefully that can make a difference. If I just hold that there for a minute, just so that you can have a look where I'm going, and then hopefully you can sort of line it up in the same position. But you know what? At the end of the day, if we go wrong on this, it's a piece of parchment. Okay. So I'm just going to have a sip of coffee while I allow you to focus in on that. There we go. And then I'm going to zoom out a little bit now so that it doesn't keep going in and out of focus. So I reckon probably just about there. Okay. Right. Oh, these cables. Are we all okay? Are we all positioned in the right place? I think I am now. Right, let's get embossing. So what we're going to do a series of 4 dots, miss 4, and then do another 4 dots. Now, this is where the counting comes in. At home, you're hopefully not going to be talking to anyone while you're doing this, so you can sort of concentrate. But if you think, oh no, I really don't want to count, then you've got the fantastic Groovi plate that Josie came up with, the plate mate for grids, that's been so popular. See, it's got all these patterns in them. So if you wanted to, you could choose one of these to fit within that design. So it's entirely up to you. I'm just giving you a recommendation for people that just have the basic grid at home. And we're going to start, I'm going to go left to right, and I'm going to emboss 1, 2, 3, 4. Then I'm going to move 4, miss 4, and come across. And it's just a sequence. I'm taking the number 2 tool, and like we did with the butterfly, I'm just going to push into those dots. Okay. See how quickly and easily it is to build up that design. And I'm just going to grab my glasses, because sometimes you have the advantage of having the bright lights, but sometimes if you look up and you shouldn't look up, it gives you a bit of a glare. There we go. So much easier. And we're going to follow through until we get nearly to the end. So it's missing 4 and then embossing 4. I mean, I'm doing a series of 4 only so that it ties in with the design on my butterfly. But you can, if you wanted to, you could emboss all of this. You don't have to do any perforating whatsoever. So we're going to come along. Now, as we get towards the end, you'll notice that I've got, oh, actually, it works off quite well. Okay. 3, 4. On my original one, it didn't, and I'll explain about that. I've obviously repositioned this one in a little bit more. I thought about it a little bit more, maybe. Yeah, okay. So I'm going to turn that round because it's easier for me to go left to right. So it's either that or I've gone wrong somewhere. But no, I think I'm fine. I've got 4, 4, 4. Yeah. See, talking and embossing at the same time is another parching skill, which you probably won't need to learn at home unless you're with a group of friends once maybe you're parching out in the garden, in the sunshine, watching on your phone. Technology is great when it works. And it'll be interesting to see with this new piece of software that Jim's been looking at, that we're using. See how, did you notice a little Groovy Tuesday logo? I wonder whether you can see that in Facebook. See, this one worked out perfect. Really weird. Okay. If when you get to the end, you find that you've got a gap. See, I did on my one. Look, let me show you this one here. See, when I went along, there wasn't enough dots. And I can see why straight away, because I haven't gone up as far as the edge on this one. Whereas on this, I'm right up against that line. So again, it's all about the positioning of the parchment. Okay. So let's have a look. So, okay. We're going to carry on and go around all 4 sides. Miss 4, make 4. A bit like knitting, isn't it? Knit 1, slip 1, knit 1, purl 1. You go along and you... There we go. It doesn't take... Once you get into the flow, your eye gets in there, and you... I mean, on screen, you can really see that design coming together, hopefully. Hopefully I've got the camera in the right place so you can see exactly what we're doing. And there we go, next row of 4 dots. So we've got 3 sides done. So now we're going to go round, spin it round, and I'm working on the 12 by 12 super foam. Now, is this going to work? I reckon this will work. That was a fluke, Mr. Church. See, a little bit more steady on the eye with lining it up, and it will work a lot better. See, it's all about the learning and experimenting. And as I say, it's a piece of parchment. And it doesn't take long, really, once you get going. Okay, we're almost there. This is where we see, it's like that when you're doing something and see whether it lines up at the end. Yay, that worked. Ah, I'm happy bunny there. There we go. So now when we turn that round, you can see we've got our design within that panel. Okie dokie. Right. So we've got our embossed dots in place now. So now we're going to do the perforating. So when we're perforating, we need to work from the front. So I'm going to remove my little Groovi tabs. I'm going to come in on this camera so I can get my head over the top. And then we're going to line it up so that the dots are in between the embossed dots. Okay, I reckon it's fine there. And it's fine there. And it's fine just there. Maybe just over a little squidging. Okay. Groovi tabs. Hold it in place so it doesn't move. There we go. I gave it a little squidge then. Okay. So now we're working on the front, and you can see that, hopefully you can see that on camera. You've got that beautiful raised effect. And now what we're going to do, we're going to take our number 1 bold needle tool, and we're going to perforate in between each of those 4 dots. Really, really nice and easy, exactly like we did with our butterfly. Now, if you've got the 2 needle bold, you can do 2 at a time. Or if you've got the 4 needle bold, you can do all 4 at the same time. Now, when I'm perforating, because the needle is bolder. Can you see that? The needle is bolder closer to the stem. Okay, so it's quite fine. So if you want a really crisp, I mean, I've got a habit of going all the way in, and because I've got the super foam, then I'm sort of, it's just automatic. Okay, so if you want a really, it's hold the tool upright. Let me come in on this camera. Hold the tool upright and just push. I mean, you don't have to go all the way to the hilt, but you'll know that when you go in, that you're going to get a nice crisp clean hole. And it's all about holding the tool upright, because even if you hold it at an angle, the grid, I mean, that's, for me, the grid is the safety net, in that it makes the tool go upright. So we're going to go along and we're going to perforate in between each of those two dots. Okay, and we go, I mean, I'm going a little bit fast, but I'll slow it down a little bit because I know people at home are watching it go at different speeds. But it's quite, you get into a rhythm of it. It's so, I just love the effect of the embossing and the perforating together without doing any picot cutting whatsoever. Okay. So my hand's nice and comfortable. So I'm going to swivel my work around. Let's move this out of the way. Swivel it round so that we can continue on the other side. And it's the same process, just in between the four little dots. Nice and easy. So this is easier because we haven't got to worry about counting, because the spaces in between is only what's left to perforate, because we've done the counting when we did the embossing. But as I say, if you've got that plate mate for grids, you've got some fantastic patterns on there, and you don't even need to do any counting whatsoever. You can just find an element to use as an infill for the frames. Okay, how are we doing for time? Yeah, plenty of time. Okay. Oh, I'm just so excited about that plate. It's, Barbara's worked her magic again. She really has. I absolutely love it. And it's amazing to see, if you go back on Barb's blog from, I'm sure it's about a week and a half ago, where she was showing you how she'd illustrated it. And it's just so magic to think that that plate started off by somebody physically drawing the design. And it's what you're doing in the shack, really, isn't it? Where you're doing your illustrations. I mean, you're doing that beautiful Garden of England. You're in Kent at the moment, and you're building those beautiful triptych sceneries. And as Barb says, it's all about the tracing paper. The tracing paper really is key, and that's the way Barb's worked for years. She doesn't draw on the computer. It's physically a pencil and pen, and that's it. I'm going to spin that round, and then we're on the final home run. Okay. Yeah, it's magic to think that it's drawn, then it gets sent into the office. Lucy or Lisa work their magic and turn it into a fantastic Groovi plate. And it's the same process with all the illustrations we get from Mel, from Linda, from Tina, how they're all created. And then the girls, whether it be a stamp or a Groovi or a stencil, it's so clever. So clever. And it means that we can bring you beautiful, unique pieces of artwork or designs. Okay, so let's have a look on the overhead now. We have, let's turn our butterfly so it's not flying to the side. There we go. So we have, shall I zoom out a little bit? No, actually, I'm going to stay there because I'm actually going to come in a little bit closer in a minute when we do the Picot cutting. How are we all doing? I'll give you a minute or two just to catch up on that sewing machine perforating. Oh dear. Do you want to have a sneaky peek? If you finish, do you want to have a sneaky peek at that plate again? Let me just pop it to it. It's just, it really is. When you see something as magical as this, it's well, I'm looking at you, can't see it. Camera number 2. Okay, let's really sort of zoom in on the areas. So again, you can really see the detail. And I put this shirt on this morning because I've got a stack of shirts here and I just alternate them for TV and the Groovi Tuesday. And I said to Julie, oh, what one shirt? Oh, I'll put this one on. So I don't think I've worn this one in the shack. And Julie, so I put it on. Julie went, oh, you've got paisley on. I went, have I? So look, if I bring my plate, my cuff in, look at that. How spooky was that? It wasn't planned whatsoever. It was like witching power. Look at that. Oh, madness. Absolutely madness. Okay. We all caught up and ready to do some Picot cutting. Super duper. So for me, as I said before, it's sort of a warming up exercise to have a practice on a scrap piece first. So the choice is yours. You can either Picot cut with me as we go along, but with the little crosses, for me, that is like a bit of a warm up. So we're going to come in really close for the Picot cutting. We've got the 3 different types of scissors or weapons of choice. Let's have a look at them again. We have the lovely exclusives. We have the Picot cutters or the squizzers. They're just nice and flexy. And we've got the ring lock. Okay. So exclusives are the ones that are Barb's favourites. And I jump between these two, depending on how much Picot cutting I'm going to do. 9 times out of 10, I go with the ring lock because they've got a bigger aperture. And I'm not really doing much Picot cutting. I'm just like the little crosses. So what we're going to do, we're going to work from the front, and I'm going to hold my hand. My hand is comfortable to the side of my work, and I'm going to cut, Picot cut down here. So again, I'm going to come in underneath. You can go back and watch episodes 12 and 13 about the different ways of holding the scissors. And then all I'm going to do, I'm going to take my Groovi guard just to lean on, and I'm going to pop the tips of my scissors in. I'm going to put my glasses back on for this because I just looked at the light. Okay. There we go. And it's the tips of the scissors in, and I'm cutting over the waist. Remember, the cross is the bit that's going to fall out in the middle. So I'm holding my scissors over the thing. I'm going to go in just with the tips, and then I'm going to squeeze until I see the point, and then you can tilt if you want to. I'm going to come back out, go into the next one, and you can just start to see that Picot forming. Now, if you go in too far with your scissors, that was a bit dodge. If you're going too far with scissors, all it's going to do is cut the parchment. It's not actually going to snip. And we're going to go along and just do the side. Okay, and you get into a rhythm. My hand is in the same position, and I'm going all in one direction first. Exactly like we did with the little crosses on the butterflies. No difference. We're just creating little crosses on here. Then I'm going to turn it round because I'm going to do all of the outer edge first. Let's bring that in a little bit. And then snip, snip, snip. And it's quite, can you hear that? It's that little, there we go. that snip. And you see it start to form a picot. I wonder if I can come in. Let's have a look on this one. If I come in, I'm going to go there. And I'm just tilting slightly towards my left or towards me. Some people tilt away. It's what you find comfortable and works for you. Okay. We're going to turn it round. We're going to do the next side. And for me, I just find going all in one direction, too far in, going in one direction first, your hand sort of gets into a rhythm. And I'm using I've got the 12 by 12 super foam underneath, the black super foam underneath. If I was at home and I was doing this, I'd have the white super foam because I would normally have my light panel on, even when Picot cutting. For me, it just makes it easier on the eye. So we're going to come round. So they're on now on the fourth side. It doesn't take long to get going. And we're going to, and all of a sudden, what will happen? We've got to do this 4 more times. But you know what? The effect that you get is beautiful. And I've seen on Facebook, on Clarity Worldwide, Groovi Worldwide, how people have really improved. That is them saying that they've improved just by doing the little crosses, because the crosses give them the confidence. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to go to this part and I'm going to go over the waist again. So it's all in one direction. And it's magical. These little crosses, it's amazing. I mean, when I first saw Picot cutting and crosses, I'm thinking, oh, how do you get crosses? Surely you can't get a cross out of 4 holes. But you do. I don't know, it's one of those, it's not physics, is it? No, hang on, I need to go this way. No. It's just getting, it's magic. It really is. Okay, so we're going to go along. So currently at the moment, we've recently launched offers of the week. They launch on a Monday during the Shack with Barb. And this week is beautiful petite toppers. And from yesterday until Monday next week, they are half price. Plus, if you're a club member, you get your club members discount as well. So instead of being $14.99, you're only paying £7.49. Got beautiful designs. Barbara did a beautiful blog last night using the Pop-It stamps. And you've got Northern Lights, Indian Summer, Rainbow River, Shenandoah, Toscana, Waimea Falls, Antarctica, and Amazonia. And also, don't forget, still on the moment of clarity with those gorgeous butterflies that Barbara was showcasing on. Isn't it funny how butterflies are so in at the moment? That Barbara was showcasing in the moment of clarity on Friday, the sort of the craft along. We've got a fantastic saving on the designer parchment as well. I'm going to sneeze, I think. Let me look at the light. Don't want to sneeze while I'm Picot cutting. No, that's gone. So the designer parchment, £10 off on that as well, plus your club discount. So if you're not into your colouring in with your Groovi, then the designer parchment is a must-have. It really is. So I've done all of those. So now what I'm going to do is come around in this direction. So we're going to move down the ladder. Okay. So yeah, so we've got some fantastic offers on at the moment. The offer of the week, the moments of clarity with that parchment. So really, if you're into Groovi, it's a good opportunity to stock up, especially if you've gone for that lovely plate as well from Barbara. If you're thinking, oh, I need to put something else in my basket, then think no more. And you can see the Groovi guards really helping me as well. I'm just going to come round at an angle. There we go. And we're going to go along. So yeah, so you've got the moment of clarity with the parchment, it's £10 off, and then the offer of the week. And I'm actually going to use some of the petite toppers on this card that we're going to finish off. When I say finish off, I'm going to give you some ideas on how to finish it off. And then you can make that decision yourself. Because what I love, because we've created this beautiful cut butterfly, I think it works fantastically as a picture. Remember that picture I showed you from Linda Page, where she'd done that beautiful box frame with all the different butterflies in there? And that had designer parchment in the background to add some colour to it. I think we're almost there. I should have gone in one direction, but I wasn't paying attention in the direction in which I was going. So you're either joining you're either joining in, or you're thinking, no, I don't want to do this. And you know what? You don't have to. There's no pressure whatsoever. You could just leave the dots perforated. It's entirely up to you. And that for me is the Groovi system and the flexibility. Okay, I think I've just got to come round. I've done that. Right, okay. So now I think we're ready to complete our little crosses. 1, 2, and also they'll just fall out. Sort of, yeah, here they go. And you think, no, it hasn't worked. But it does, it's magic. It really is. And we're going to go along, and we're going to get our first row of crosses. If I've done this right, then we're going to get our first row of crosses. Ta-da! There we go. Look at that. And then where am I going on this one? I think I'm going to go this way. Yeah, next row coming up. All of a sudden, it's just like bang. We've got our little beautiful frame. And it ties in then with the butterfly, doesn't it, we've been working on. How are we doing for time? Oh, I think we've got perfect timing. We may have an opportunity to have a sneaky peek as well, back at that plate again. And the different bits that I traced out. Yay. There we go. It's that satisfying snip of the parchment. I always thought it was the scissors, but it's not. It's the parchment. So there we go. Oh, I've got missed that one there. No, there we go. So we're 3 sides done, and the final side coming up. There we go. Easy peasy once you get into it. It really is. It's that satisfying snip, snip, snip. And as I say, some people, you feel comfortable the way in which you're working, and you'll notice that I'm right-handed, so my hand is always here when I'm working, whether I'm going across or whether I'm coming towards me. And to have these big 12 by 12 super foams really makes a difference now. Whereas before, I'd have to keep moving it along Let's have a look. There we go. So you can see I'd have to keep moving it along to complete my piece. Okay, so hopefully you should have something that looks like that, or maybe you've just got the perforated one. It's entirely up to you. But let me just show you a few finishing tricks on what we're going to do with it. So I'm thinking card, picture, canvas board, but we've got these fantastic stamp board frames, and I thought, oh, these are perfect. So what I've done, I've decided, I chose my colors. I took my, where are we? Let's have a look. Northern Lights. I've got my folder here that's got my papers in. Let's pop that out of the way. So I've got my papers in here, my 12. Oh, that's really, it's not fuzzy, it's a folder. Let me just zoom out a little bit so you can see that. There we go. So I've got my folder, and in the front I've got my papers, and then in the back I've got my petite toppers, and then I can flick through. Wasn't that a clever trick from Dee, using the backing? Did you see that on Barb's blog, using the back to create a card? Check out the blog for that one. So I was going through and I was taking my piece of work and I'm thinking, right, what's going to make it stand out? And so it's good that you can just flick through and decide what colorways you want to go to. So if you wanted to add some color, you could. Okay, so I was going through and thinking, oh, quite like that. And in the end, I went for Northern Lights, the original. Yeah, this is Northern Lights. It's in here then, isn't it? Yeah. Ooh. So I'm going to go through. See, and I really love that illumination, but it wasn't that one. There's another one. It's in there. There we go. Look at that. That is, yeah, one of my favorite. And when you pop that behind there, it really illuminates, and it doesn't really need much more. So again, if you're not into your coloring, then these petite toppers are great for doing that. Okay, so what I've done, I've taken a piece of the Northern Lights, which is 5 by 7, and I've just trimmed off 2 inches, so I've got a 5 by 5 square. And then you see, when I pop that on there, I can decide where I want that to go. So again, now I've got decisions. If I wanted to, I could Picot cut. Now that I've got the confidence to do that, I can Picot cut around the outside. So you've got choices on that. But just for speed, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to trim it down outside that border. So to do that, I'm just going to quickly do it with my paper. No, I'm not going to do it with paper trimmer, because no, my luck, I am going to do it. So I'm going to bring my cutting mat in, and I'm going to bring, oh, look what I've just found. It was hiding under my black mat. So I'm going to take my ruler, I'm going to go steel edge up to that white line, and then trim off the excess. Okay, that's one side. Come over to the other side. So again, the choice is yours. You can to Picot cut or not to Picot cut. You decide. But I remember back in the day, this was my decision. This was what I would do, because I couldn't do the Picot cutting. And then we can go around the 4th side, and it's got Groovi grip underneath my ruler, so it doesn't slide. What's Groovi grip? If you're new, it's like a plastic that just sits on the back of the ruler and stops it sliding when you put a little bit of pressure on it. Okay, so blade away. So now I've got my little piece of card. I've got my topper that we've just created. So again, this could just go fantastically on a card. However, our stamp board frames, look at this. If I pop that, this is one of our 6 by 6 frames. Look at that. How magic does that look? And then it becomes a piece of artwork. Now, if you think, oh, that's a little bit tight. I mean, it was a real coincidence that that aperture fitted the size that I chose. Excuse me. There was no plan whatsoever. It was a fluke. And you know what? When Bob says sometimes things happen for a reason, well, that obviously was the reason. But if you want to go big and make a real statement point, really focus, then this is the 9x9, and then you take that petite topper, so which is your 5x5, that sits in the middle, and then you've got that nice white space around the outside as well. So again, you've got those choices. What I'm going to do, see, I don't know. What do you reckon? A card or a picture? Decisions. I think I'm going to go with a picture because we've got this beautiful, elegant butterfly that I'm going to pop on there, and I want the wings to stand out. So all I'm doing is just putting a little bit of pressure either side. Oh, I've got a wonky wing. So that when that goes on there, it's got some movement to it. So right, I'm going to go with this. I'm going to pop this on here. But what I'm going to do, just for speed, okay, because I know time just disappears. It really does. I know my butterfly is going to go on there. So I'm just going to take a piece of, not a piece, I'm going to take our tape runners, and I'm just going to run some tape just down the middle of the body. I'm working on the back, and I'm just going to position that centrally. Okay, so that's it. It's magic as well, really. It's really weird. Depending on what card you pop it on, you can't see the tape through it. Really weird. And so if you're not sure of whether the tape will show through, take a scrap piece of parchment and test it on a piece of scrap paper that you're going to use to see whether it shows. Alternatively, you could use little brads in either of the corners, but just for this, that's going to work just fine for this. And then I'm going to take my butterfly, I'm just going to give it a gentle little tease, so we've got some depth to our butterfly. And then I'm going to take my Perga glue. Now, there was a tip that the lovely Linda Williams gave us. I just need a bit of plastic just to put some glue on. Right, little poly bag. Let's move this out. I'm going to get covered in gums otherwise. We're all okay with this. We're going to run over a little bit, but you know what? It's all about completion. So I'm going to take some Perga glue, and I'm just going to squidge some out onto my mat. And then you can take a cocktail stick, or I'm going to be naughty. I'm going to take the ends of my #1 tool. I'm just going to pick up some glue, and all I'm going to do is just run it along the edge of that white line, because it won't be seen. And then you're going to go along. Okay. Hopefully I've got enough on there. I'm going to pop that to one side so I don't put my cards in it. Then I'm going to position, no I'm not. I'm going to let that dry for a little minute. Let's pop that to one side. I'm going to take my frame. I'm going to use my tape runner. I'm going to go on the inside of my frame. I'm going for the large one. I want to make a dramatic piece of wall art that holds the elegance. And then I'm going to go around the outside edge as well. So just take it nice and slowly. It's not a rush. The faster you go, the more chance you've got of the not getting an equal covering of tape. Okay, and that's with all tape runners, not just ours. If you think about it, it's like anything. If you go really fast, it's like if you're going fast on the Groovi system, you jump out the groove, don't you? So I'm going to take the back panel and I'm going to press that down. There we go. So that's now created my frame. And the reason I said I needed to do this first, because if I'd stuck my butterfly on, to turn it over to put the tape on the back, I would have squidged him. And I don't want to squidge my butterfly that I've just spent doing. Okay. So I'm going to go along. And so I went with the, Jilly's just sent me a message. Which one did I use? It was the Northern Lights Petite Topper, because it's got that beautiful Aurora Borealis style that Bob magically created in the original collection. So I hope that's answered for whoever asked that question. So I'm going to press down. So I've now got my nice piece of, but again, this could be nice on a card blank. You don't have to go through with your picture frame. And then I'm going to take a little bit more glue. Look, that's why it's good to have it on here, because I know that would have, because it was such a thin layer. Just to go. If you're worried about the glue showing through on that open space, you could do some white work, or you could color it with a white pencil. Okay. But I reckon I've probably just got enough on there. And it's just on the body, the outline of the body, where I'm applying the glue. And then pop that in place there. So you're lining it up where you've done that. And then I'd probably give that about 5 minutes or so before you start doing what I'm doing. But I'm going to risk it for a biscuit, as they say. There we go. So we've now got, if I hold that to the side, you've got that beautiful dimension. So again, this is where the brads would come into play. Okay. And it's really, it's easy. It is. All we're doing is we're just completing. I mean, for me, that looks a lot nicer as a picture than it would as a card. And if you wanted to, you could go in and add some color. If you've gone with the designer parchment, then job done as well. It really is. So it's all about just experimenting, and hopefully over the course of these hours, we've done that. And if you've got any questions, obviously Jilly's been in the room with you helping, but just to bring that one to completion. And again, if you've gone with the smaller one, then those little frames, the little 6x6s, will be perfect. Or, oh, the triptychs. Imagine having 3 of those butterflies going along in a triptych frames. Oh, gorgeous. And for me, it always has been, when working with parchment, it's always been about the background. And the petite toppers and the designer papers and the designer parchment are just perfect for that. I'm not a messy person, so to have these in my folder instant that I can go through and pick and choose is just a fantastic opportunity to have, and especially when we've got them on such great prices for this week as well. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to finish off just by teasing you with this plate, because next week we're going to have a look at this and we're going to break it down. So I keep seeing different things in it. It's weird. You turn it around and you see something. I still see, now I see a fish there all the time. And I can see, someone else said they saw a guitar. There's the little guitar there, isn't it? Real funky. So hopefully you've enjoyed this morning's session. Don't forget to like and share. You can catch up with all the previous episodes on our YouTube channel. We're currently at episode 13. Back in the shack at 10 o'clock on Facebook Live with Barbara tomorrow, carrying on that beautiful journey through the Kent countryside. Absolutely glorious. So I hope you've enjoyed that, and I will see you again next week for another Groovy Tuesday at 10 o'clock on Facebook Live. Thank you for Jilly and the lovely design team members that have been in the room helping answer any questions. Enjoy the rest of your week. I'll be in the room with Barb tomorrow at 10. So until then, I will see you then. Otherwise, I'll see you next Tuesday. Enjoy your week. Bye-bye.